What Radio, the music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
Yes! I like it.
RadioWhat.com.
What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you can have me at your next event. You know, wedding season is here and the dates are booking up fast. I'm so happy about that. I'm so honored and privileged to be at people's weddings, the best days of their lives, the most exciting and hopeful days of their lives when they're looking to the future as they celebrate their marriage and their love together. It's a wonderful thing. And I get to be there. I get to see it. I get to see it all. And I get to help them celebrate. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the honor. I appreciate that so much. Today on the program, Rickey G. Who's Rickey G? Well, you're going to find out in the next few minutes. So stick around for that. Exciting Rickey G. This week's shows, well, as we're recording this on Saturday, I had a great show last night returning to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas after a couple of months of quarantine, lockdown as it were. I do realize that the novel COVID-19 coronavirus is not over. It's still out there. There's still no cure, no immunization, no vaccine, but we got to get out. We got to get the economy started. The people need to break out of their houses. These people just aren't meant to live locked up indoors for the most part. I know some people thrive in that kind of a situation. They like staying inside to themselves and having little to no contact. There are those chosen few, but for the most part, people need to be interacting. And so last night, you know, it looked on the broad strokes, it looked like a regular Friday night at the Rab, but there was vigilance. I did have plenty of hand sanitizer and handy wipes to wipe the microphones down for the video dance party and karaoke jam at the Rab. And as for the most part, I think the people that were there were ready to play and have a good time. And there weren't any altercations that I could see. Nobody getting upset because of social distancing and the like. So while we're aware that there is a coronavirus out there, there is something that has no cure, we were still able to have some kind of a good time last night at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. And I'm so ready to do it again next Friday night. So thank you so much for having me back out there, people of the Rab. And if you've never been to the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, I encourage you, my What Makes You Famous listeners, to put it on the walking tour. If you ever get into Conway, Arkansas, come on out for a night of fun at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. See you again Friday night, starting at 8 p.m. Video dance party, karaoke jam. All right, I know, not too much dancing. We're trying to keep away from each other and while we still play with each other. There we go. It sounds like an oxymoron, but I think you get the point. All right, that's enough of me rattling on. Let's get into it with Rickey G. I was able to meet up with Rickey G over at the Laurel Park, a nice big park in Conway, Arkansas. We took over one of the park benches underneath the pavilion. And I think we got an interesting conversation that you're going to get to hear in the next minute or so. So without further ado, let's give a talking to Rickey G, traveling to Laurel Park to see Rickey G now.
I'm gonna have to wind it up, man. I'm a man of few words, so I mean, there's not a whole lot you're gonna get out of me. I'm just being real.
What's the words? In this conversation, Rickey G in the place to be. Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast. First time I'm meeting you in person. We've been friends on Facebook, social media, that kind of stuff. Give the people an idea of who you are.
Well, basically, I just consider myself to be a community servant.
You care to expound on that?
Well, yeah.
You know, we got hours, man.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm a man of few words. There's not a whole lot I can say. But, I'm a community servant. I've been involved in community service since 2008, I believe, and I'm currently a member of Fawley County branch of the NAACP, Fawley County branch of the American Legion, Post 16, Conway Alliance for the Arts. But yes, those are what I'm affiliated with as of right now.
Cool. All right, Rickey G, man. As we record this on May 31st, 2020, things are going on. And I know being a community servant, all right, what does that entail? And these are trying times. There's something in the news that just happened, to compound everything that's going on in the world. And I know we really didn't discuss what we were going to talk about, but we could talk about whatever is on your mind. And I want this to be a time capsule of times as they are today in the world, or even in this country, or even in particular parts of this country. If I might be leading in some of this, what are your views on what's going on? I mean, we do have the overall thing, the blanketing, the COVID-19 coronavirus that's going on, and we are keeping socially distanced. When we met, we didn't give a hug. We got a little elbow dap. I mean, that was probably as close as we get. For me, I'm not afraid, but I'm vigilant. I don't wear a mask or gloves, but I do disinfect things. And I'm vigilant. I'll stay away from people. I'm kind of a hugger. But Rickey G, I want your viewpoints on what's going on in the world today. And then, of course, we can come through, where you grew up, your own journey up till now, Rickey G.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you again for having me on this show. I mean, I have been following your podcast for quite some time. You have interviewed people that I highly respect in my community. I mean, let's see, Ronell Williams.
Oh, Ronell.
Ronell Williams.
Very funny man in Little Rock, but also very outspoken young man. We were in his kitchen.
Yeah,
in his dining room. I set the exact same setup that I have out here in Laurel Park in Conway, Arkansas. That's where we're currently recording. But who else have you listened to?
Ronell Williams, Rodney. He has
the boxing gym.
Yeah,
Rodney Gillespie.
Thank you. Yeah.
Gillespie's gym in Conway, Arkansas.
Yeah, he's been here for quite some time, and I have a huge love and respect for him too. I love boxing. Matter of fact, my family has boxing history.
What?
Yes.
Expound.
Well, I was just about to get to that. Years ago, my mother's brother, his name is Tyrone Rogers. First of all, I should tell you, he was involved in the boxing club that they used to have in Conway years ago, back in the, I want to say, late 70s, early 80s era. A lot of people don't even realize that Conway had a boxing club, but yes, they did. And I think they partnered through like the Conway Police Department, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, yes, he was at the time a Golden Glove boxer. And
this is who?
Tyrone Rogers.
Tyrone Rogers.
Yeah, this is like I said, it's my mother's brother, my uncle.
Very cool.
So, and it's funny though, because when I grew up, I mean, keep in mind, I was born in 1977.
Yes.
And at the age of 2, I've been watching him box since,
Born where, Rickey G?
Right here. I wasn't born here, but I was raised here in Conway. I was born in Camden, Arkansas.
Camden, Arkansas,
yes.
A lot of famous people come out of there. At least one that I can recognize. Was it Neo? Came out of there?
No, actually, Neo, he's actually...
he says Las Vegas.
He's actually from an area called Beard Neck. I went to college with one of his cousins. Camden, I will say that somebody in particular did come out of there. It's actress by the name of Layla Rashawn.
Okay.
Yeah, you might have seen her in Wait and Exhale. She was also Sunshine in Eddie Murphy's Harlem Nights.
Sunshine.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Don't throw it up in the air. Turns into sunshine.
Yes, yes, her. But, yeah, back to what I was talking about my uncle. Yeah, he was a Golden Glove boxer. And... when I was a kid, I lived at my grandmother's house for like a short period of time. Well, my mother, she married my father. They moved to Chittister, Arkansas, which is where I was raised up until I was 4 years old. And
Small town?
Very small town.
Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everything. 90% of the people I'm related to down there. So
no kidding. That's
just,
great.
Yeah, I mean, I love that place, and it's when I say it's country, it really is. I'm talking about it's so country. Your next door neighbor is like a field away.
That's pretty cool.
Yes, and
what is it like growing up like that? I mean, did you get to see your family a lot, or a lot of family reunions?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I saw people every day because I guess my grandmother's house was like the popular spot. You know, to me, I considered it to be the mouth of the South because she talked to everybody.
That's cool. Man.
So, but yeah, I've always been somebody that hung around older people, if you will. So, so I had a really great relationship with a lot of my elder relatives from that era.
What kind of knowledge did you gain from them?
A lot. I mean, just basically how to be a good listener. I grew up in an era, and you probably did too, where people, even your family members, used to sit back and tell stories, and that is those are the type of people I grew up around. A lot of my dad's relatives, for sure, are very great storytellers. And my mother, my grandmother was one in particular. So, yeah, I learned about, listening to people talk and tell really great stories, I guess. So.
Man, when you get to a certain age, you got experiences, and you start telling all those experiences. That's your job, to become a teacher in the world, and first in your family. Mm-hmm. That's the first people that get the benefit of all your experience. So, do you remember any of the stories that your grandma told you?
Well, here's another thing. See, I didn't grow up with her. See, yes. My mother divorced my father in 1981. So right about that time was when I moved up here to Conway, which from then I grew up.
Yes.
So
wait, what year was? I mean,
this is 81.
But see, 70. Oh, 4 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were small.
Yes.
So you remember anything of the small town in outside of Camden? Do you remember any of that?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't start visiting there until I went to college, Okay. Well, no, before I went to college, I say about 1998 is when I started. Well, no, I take that back even further than that because I think the first time I visited there was 1995. This is like right before I graduated high school.
So the first memories that you have are really not from the 4 years old.
No.
Because I remember something from 3.5 years old. Mm-hmm. I remember my brother being born. I think that was one of the first memories.
Well, here's the thing. I remember what my life was like up to that when I was 4 years old. But I'm just saying I don't have an active memory.
Exactly.
I mean, because keep in mind, that's another thing about people in the country. They make kids especially the center of attention. As they should be, and then when I was living with my grandparents, I had a choice of what I wanted to eat. I mean,
what?
Yeah, I did.
Dude, I didn't have a choice when I grew up, and I was born in '69, maybe about 8 years younger than you. But
well, let me tell you what. See,
whatever you put, whatever the plate was, you eat it.
Well, but here's the thing. Up to that point, it was, like I said, it was different. My life was different at 4 years old. But I was the first grandchild, so they made everything about me.
Okay, now that's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, they made everything about me. I mean, it was to the point I had my own rocking chair, dude. I mean, I can tell you what my favorite show was at 4 years old. My favorite show at 4 years old was Sanford and Son.
You better believe it. I was the president of the DeMond Wilson fan club in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Is that right?
Would you stop it, Pop? Heck yeah, man. Fort Lauderdale. That was my show, man. A lot of great people came out of there. Grady came out of there, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was cool, man.
But, yeah, so like I said, at the age of 4 years old, I would sit back in this rocking chair and I watched this show. I called it my show, per se. And it was funny because whenever I got sitting in this chair, you could not move me. And see, my uncle, my dad's brother, he knew this. And so
the boxer.
No. This is my that's my mother's brother.
That's mother's brother. This is your dad's brother. Gotcha. I'm getting the timeline. Yeah, okay. I'm getting the family tree down.
See, right now we're talking about my age. Age of 4 years old.
Uh-huh.
Right about this time, well, first of all, I should tell you there are two houses in close proximity down there. Like you have the house that my parents lived in, and you had the house that my grandparents lived in. So we were close proximity. But then,
I like that.
And they had like huge acreage of land. Like I want to say they had 85 acres or so down there.
Whoa, what were they doing with that 85 acres?
Well, you got to realize this is stuff that was kind of grandfathered in, if you will. I mean, this is stuff that was just given air property.
Yes.
Yeah, so they used it for farming and other things, you know.
Do you remember anything about the farming down there?
My goodness, man! I tell you, they had gardens that seemed to go on for miles.
Yeah.
They had a specific name for it. They called it a truck patch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they had some of everything. And I mean, they were growing peas, watermelons, and things that they, basically things they could sell. Squash, all that stuff. I mean, but it didn't. Like I said, it's not like today's little city garden or whatever. No, this thing went on for a mile or so.
Yeah, well, 85 acres, man, it'd be good to be productive.
Man, that thing went on for whatever. I mean, for the longest, and I just like, even as a kid, I still have images of it in my mind, about what it looked like. It was.
Did it sustain the family?
It did.
Everybody ate only from the yard, or maybe trading with other farms?
Well, here's the thing. I don't know how they did business. Because keep in mind, I was 4 years old.
You're only 4. I get it.
I don't know how they did it. I mean, I never even had that conversation about how they conducted business. But all I know is what I remember seeing.
Yeah.
And just to see how big that garden was, So like when people say garden to me now, I laugh because it's like, that's not a garden.
Right. So did they put you to work at 4 years old,
No.
Ricky G, or you were just rocking in that chair, taking in all the experiences?
Just sitting back, relaxing, being a kid. But yeah, I was finishing up telling you about the story about my uncle. Whenever I was sitting in this rocking chair and watching that show, I couldn't be moved. And this is right about the time is when my uncle was dating at the time, and this one particular instance, he whispers to his girlfriend. He says, "Hey, watch this." And say, "Hey, Rick, you want to come with us?" I was like, and his girlfriend's, she's about to have a fit. Like, he ain't coming with us, So, but what I replied was, I said, "No, Uncle Mick, I'm watching my show." And so he knew I was gonna say that, but he wanted to prove to her what I was gonna say. It's like, your boy ain't going nowhere.
He ain't getting out of that chair. You got Fred Sanford out there. Fred G. Sanford. What's the G stand for?
I don't know.
He said several things during that show.
I don't know, man.
The G stands for good time. The G stands for whatever. That was like a running joke in that show.
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, Fred Sanford, I tell you, that guy right there.
Red Fox.
Red Fox. I really enjoyed watching that show. I mean, he was a brilliant comedian. Matter of fact, he had been a comedian long before that. I mean, in the 50s or so, long before that, Matter of fact, I understand that him and Malcolm X were friends.
That's what I understand as well, from all accounts that I've heard. And even, I think he was in the Malcolm X movie, that somebody portrayed him in that movie. If I'm not mistaken, I might be misremembering. Somebody will fact check me and give me comments.
I think he might be right for maybe like a little bit part or something. But like I said, that movie was 3 hours long, man. I don't know.
Yeah, everybody had to be in there. Everybody that touched upon the life of Malcolm X.
Yeah, but I've read the book, and I think at the time he was called Detroit Red.
Detroit Red.
Yeah, that's what Malcolm X was the name he was given, and he said the Chicago Red was Red Fox's name before he became Red Fox.
Gotcha. That's where the red came from, because I remember in the movie he dyed his hair red, didn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
And was there a purpose for that? I can't remember what.
At the time, Malcolm X.
The symbol of dyeing his hair red.
Well, no, it wasn't that he dyed his hair red. His hair was red.
Natural red. Okay.
Yeah. See, what he had, he straightened his hair through a thing called concholine. Well, it's known as conch per se. Okay. But yeah, that's what they used to do to straighten their hair to look like the white man per se.
Right. Trying to fit in, I guess. I
guess that's what they were doing, but I mean that was the thing of the time. So, but yeah, and like I said, everybody had their little street monikers back then, as we do today. I mean, nothing really changes. It's just like my mom said years ago. There's nothing new under the sun. It's just you got different players playing the game.
That is correct, man. And I find that every 20 years, trends seem to come back around. I mean, you think about fashion, trends seem to come back around. And I think that's everything, pop culture, politically, it all comes back around. Because if you look at history, even contemporary history, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and you think about what they were saying, it's exactly the same as what they're saying now.
it never changes, man.
Yeah, I think you're right. History does repeat itself. Matter of fact, I can tell you in fashion, my mom was a character of all by herself. I remember back when platform shoes came back for like a small little second or whatever, and she had seen some, and she looked at this young girl wearing them, and she was like, "Those things were ugly then, and they're ugly now."
You know, my 14-year-old daughter's got platform shoes, and she won't get out of them. It's great, man. They make her feel taller, I think is what it is. You know, she thinks she can run in them. They're comfortable for her. But yeah, fashion just comes back around.
And there's things that I've seen too that have made a comeback too in fashion. I mean, take for instance Air Jordans.
Yeah.
You know, I still remember seeing them when they first came out, and to see them resurge again. I mean,
I had them.
I had them too.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so I mean, just to see all these younger kids wearing them now like they brand new, I'm just like, dude, I so remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them come back. I've seen Reebok Pump come back. I've seen Patrick Ewing shoes come back. You know, there's a lot of things you see in fashion that are making a comeback. I've even seen hairstyles. When I was in high school, I had what was called a box. It was like a high top fade thing going.
Kid and play, man.
Yeah, right. And you know, you see these kids today. You know, they're wearing them as well. I'm like, man, if he didn't look like somebody, you know, if he didn't look like me back in the early '90s, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
you want to have a house party? No, man, dude, Ricky G. I know you have stuff in your mind, and I want to go back. You know, I know we kind of went off on a little tangent there, but I do want you to finish the story of you coming up through this world, and that, you know, at 4 years old, even learning about life through Sanford and Son and probably other TV shows.
But see, I have some thoughts about that. I don't think that any 4-year-old should be watching that show, because there's a lot of adult humor in that.
And you think about the times, man. You know, 77 through 81 is when you were there sitting in front of that TV. That was like social commentary. Wow, man, they're going off the rails, you know, and we're going to talk maybe about what's going on now. But
well, yeah. So we had there were two main, actually 3 shows that I liked when I was a kid. In that era, I can say that I also watched the Jeffersons.
You better believe
I watched the Jeffersons, and I also watched Different Strokes. So those were all the main shows I can remember watching in the early '80s.
Oh, those are the shows that shaped our lives in the early '80s. In the early '80s, I was just getting into high school, middle school and high school, and I was watching those shows, amongst other shows, of course. You know, there was, for me, it was the Knight Rider and the something that was probably above my age. Well, no, I guess I was old enough for Miami Vice, but I was in Miami at the time, or in that area in South Florida. But yeah, I mean, there was so many good shows back there in the '80s. You're taking me back, Ricky
right.
G.
No, moving forward. Now, I was telling you, up until the age of 4 years old, I lived in the Chichester area. So moving forward, my mother got a divorce. We moved in with her parents up here. And
in Conway, Arkansas.
Yes. So sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, we moved here, and after, like I said, a few months later, well, keep in mind, when she moved from there, after the divorce, she was pregnant with my sister, and so she was actually born in 81.
81.
Yeah, so 81 was this big, huge,
yes, a big turning year for you.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, it was also one of the early years that Toadsuck was originated in the city.
Toadsuck is a...
Toadsuck
I'll let
Days.
you explain it.
Well, Toadsuck Days is basically maybe a 3-day carnival that Conway has.
Conway, Arkansas.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so, but I can remember, like I said, 81 specifically, because, like I said, there's a lot of stuff that happened. As a matter of fact, well, that's pretty much all I can say about 81.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, you know,
so
you moved in with mom's parents,
yeah.
You know, grandma and grandpa.
Yeah, so right about this time is...
how did that change your life? Did you still have the rocking chair? Did
No.
you still have the ability to watch the shows you wanted to watch?
No, I didn't, because my life changed dramatically. It's like everything went from having a choice to not having a choice.
There you go.
Like to where you talked about how you didn't have a choice of what you eat. My mom used to say things like, you need to be glad that you got this to eat. You know, starving kids in Africa be glad to get what you eat. You know, we went from having a choice to hearing statements like that on a regular.
Looking back, I mean, you could see that your mom had a life that was, you know, that was set. You know, she thought that this was the way it's going to be. You had 85 acres of land. You had plenty to eat, roof over your head. Things were going well, and then the divorce, man. Then it probably turned your mom's life upside down.
A
little bit.
I would say it did, but at the same time, I mean, people in life, nothing stays the same. I mean, people go through changes. That's just the way life is, and but regardless of whatever change you go through, you find a way to bounce back and survive.
So 4 years old, I'm guessing you're getting close to school age. And you're going to school in Conway, Arkansas?
Well, I would say, hold on, let me back that up because, I was born in October. Matter of fact, my mother still remembers the day that I was born. She says...
I hope so.
I mean,
Mom remembers your birthday? That's great.
Yeah, that's not the point that I'm making, but I'm just saying she remembers the actual date of like the day of the week that I was born.
Right.
And she said it was very specific because, my mom's very religious. Yeah. And we grew up going to the Church of God in Christ. And the day that I was born was also the same day of her pastor's anniversary.
Okay.
So she remembers that very, 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 very well. So
how did they celebrate? I mean, what was that all about?
Well, the pastor's anniversary basically is just it's a day to honor your pastor. I mean, you get people from around the city or beyond. They come and they give speeches about the pastor, and they give him gifts. Him and the first lady, of course. They give them all gifts and so on and so forth. And it's pretty much how that works.
Man, I've never heard of that. And that's in the Church of God?
Church of God in Christ. But I mean,
Church of God in Christ.
Well, that's how I experienced it.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure other churches do
this guy, he's working hard to get you your spiritual food the way that you're supposed to do it.
But you got to realize October as a whole is Clergy Appreciation Month.
That's true. October in the Bible is pretty big.
So it's not just Church of God in Christ. I think every pastor experienced some type of appreciation during that month. It's just that particular day I was born. It's past the anniversary.
Look at you.
So yeah, but that's another thing I can say about my mom. I've learned a lot from her, and one of the things that I've learned from her is how to be a really great person. I'm a firm believer in the golden rule. And doing others, so on and so forth.
No. Give me the golden rule as you know it.
Well, basically, I mean, golden rule, as I see it, is to treat people as you'd want to be treated. And that's generally, and it doesn't matter who it is, black, white, it doesn't matter what race. I mean, treat everybody like you would want to be treated. And that's, I guess, in a sense, what makes me famous, because I'm known for doing that. I can make a friend just about out of anybody, I think, and that's why a lot of people like to be around me, is because I'm just a friendly person. Yeah. Even the Bible tells us, I forgot what scripture it is, but it says, for any man that would seek to have friends, you must first show yourself as being friendly.
Dig it.
Think about it. I mean, you don't know people are friendly until they come up to, hey, how you doing? You don't know that they're inviting until they approach you, So I was correct in that aspect. And so
today is the first time that we're meeting, Rickey G, and I've been following you on social media, and I'm enjoying following you on social media, man. I know you're active in the community. I know you're active in social media as well, but, and man, I'm glad that we're here today, and I'm learning a lot about you, what shaped your life. You got here to Conway, Arkansas at the tender age of 4 years old, and life changed for you. You got a sister.
Yes.
How did that, how did that go? You got to share the spotlight now. Tell me more.
Well, me and my sister, we're polar opposites.
Okay.
We're polar opposites. I am more so the kind and gentle one, like I said, more inviting, and she is not.
Okay.
She is not. I mean, she...
A little more apprehensive.
Well, she is, yeah. And my mom, let her tell her, she thinks she's responsible for that, because a lot of the emotions that she was carrying in her, that she think came out in her child.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she thinks...
I imagine that has to be something true to that. There has to be some scientific note to that.
Yeah,
to whatever the mom is feeling, it gets transferred to that child that she's carrying.
Yeah, because...
So keep our pregnant mothers, sacred for sure. Take care of them.
Yeah, so that's something that she blames herself for. She says that a lot of the emotions that she was feeling, transferred to my sister, because my sister, she's always had a turbulent life. She's had several instances, with the law, run-ins with the law, and it's due just because, she's always been someone that's been mad all the time, you know.
Huh.
But I will say that, I mean, as an adult, she's changed because she now has 2 kids.
Right.
You know, I mean, she's been in and out of jail several different times, but now she's gotten her act together, and she's now raising 2 daughters. One getting ready to graduate from high school, and another one at about the age of 10. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so-
You know, and life does change when you have kids, for sure. Absolutely.
And personally, I tell you what, like I said, me and my sister, we didn't have the best relationship growing up. Like I said, because we always were into it.
Yeah.
But
you're the older brother. Man,
Yeah.
that comes with responsibility.
yeah, of course. But at the same time, like I said, we was always into it. I mean, arguing over needless stuff. You know, I mean, it was to the point. I hate to say it, but we used to try to kill each other without killing each other.
Yikes. I have a little brother, too. And yes, we used to fight, too.
We used to try to, and my mom would. I tell you, I mean, I just really think that we did a number on her nerves, you know, because we was always chasing around, you know, the house with some type of an object, such as a knife or a broom or something.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was bad.
Okay, my brother was one with the knives. I didn't have any weapons like
I said,
that.
we would try to kill each other without actually doing it.
Okay, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate it. Any permanent scars?
Oh no, man! But it's like I said, it was all in fun. You know, it's like, but yeah,
It's all part of growing up.
Yeah, it's part of growing up. But yeah, but like I said, I love my sister. She loves me. We're at better times now, and then I will say this: I am quite religious myself.
Okay,
that's why you don't see me posting, you know, foul language and stuff on Facebook and stuff like that. You don't see that because it's just not who I am. That's not to say I don't read it, but I don't do it myself because I think I have I'm very mindful of my image.
Yeah.
You know, and I think everybody else should be as well. So that's why you don't see me posting stuff filled with vulgarity and stuff. It's just not who I am.
Yeah, you listen to some of these podcasts. I talk to people all over the world, and you know they'll say, "Can I curse on this?" I said, "I'm not going to," you know, but I'm not going to limit your speech. But I'm not going to, and usually that curbs them a little bit. You know, that puts a limit in their head. They start thinking, "Oh, okay." And what I'm doing is I'm protecting children. You know, because behind those words comes a certain feeling. You know, we've put that weight on certain words, so I won't use those words because that weight carries, you know, a price, and I don't want to have the children or anyone really pay that price on my behalf.
You know, there's power in the tongue.
Yeah.
You know, so and the power of life and death in the tongue. So you got to be very careful with the words that you choose. And in fact, I mean, even especially in social media today, because you see a whole bunch of careers and stuff that they ended just because they said something racist or something out of the norm that just hurt quite a few people. You know, so you got to be careful what you say in social media. So.
Well, just on that, what do you think of cancel culture, where you say one thing wrong and that's it, your life's over, your career's over?
Well, I don't think it's fair.
Yeah,
I don't think it's fair at all. But I mean, that's just that's the world, that's the country we live in. I mean, I hate to say it, but America, it really isn't a forgiving country. I mean, even though we're supposed to be one nation under God, we don't act like it a lot of times because we're not forgiving. And God says we should forgive our neighbor, and we don't a lot of times.
You think we can live, learn, and learn from the mistakes that we made?
I think we all.
Sorry, I did that.
Yes, I think it's. I mean, I think we all do. But I mean, as a society, I mean, we don't forgive people for their mistakes, and especially in this country. And I hate to say it because there's a lot of people that may have made mistakes in their earlier years, like in their, I say, late teenage years or so. But yet they're punished for life for that.
Yeah, I mean, for us,
I don't think
growing
that's fair.
up, we didn't have social media where there's a record of it forever and ever. Oh, remember 20 years ago when you said this? That's what the kids that are growing up, they were born in 2020, are going to have a record of everything they've done throughout their lives. And we didn't have that.
I'm glad we didn't have that.
Yeah. I've done plenty of things when I was in my 20s, and even previous to that, that I wouldn't want anyone to really dwell on. I've learned from the mistakes.
Yeah, but like I said, in this country, we've got to do a better job at forgiving people, and that's, I don't know. Well, I guess we're not there yet.
Right.
And I hope I see it before my life ends, of course. But I'm just saying we've got to get to a better place to where we treat our neighbor right.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yeah, I used to be a very religious man, and I remember reading the Bible. I think I've read it 5 officially times, and then a few other times throughout. But and I know that there's a lot of good instructions there, whether you believe it or not. I'm not a practicing member of any religion right now. I guess I can you could say I'm searching. But I know that there's good instructions
and that's okay
there.
though. I mean, because even though in this country we we say we're one nation under God, and a lot of us are Christians. But however, here's how I see it though.
Yeah.
And I told you about how I believe and how you treat everybody. How you'd want to be treated.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what religion.
Unless you're a psychopath.
Yeah, of course. But my thing is, let's say you're Muslim. I think that if whatever religion you practice, as long as it makes you a better person, that's something I care about.
Yeah, if it's a book of instructions that's giving you a good moral code, I think that's one thing that religion does do for you. I mean, or at least a true solid religion. There's a lot of different churches that take it to the extreme and such, but that's a whole nother story.
But my point is, as long as it at the end of the day, it causes you to treat your neighbor right. I mean, that's all thing that anybody should really be caring about at this point. Because we have to be. I mean, we have to live on this earth together, and we are eventually. I mean, through business or social interaction, we're going to come in contact with one another. We have to know how to treat one another whenever we're in contact with each other. So,
absolutely, man.
So that's where I'm at with that. So, yeah.
Well, we're going through the life of Rickey G and learning about things that you think about, your views on things.
Well, I was going to fast forward my life a little bit,
Yeah, we can go through. I mean, what school did you go to?
Right here in Conway. I graduated high school here. The building that I graduated from is no longer there.
Is it Conway High School?
Yeah, Conway High School. Mm-hmm.
And any extracurricular activities you did? Or?
Well, no. I mean, because I worked when I went through high school.
What work?
Well, I worked in fast food.
Yeah, Joe Jobs, KFC, and Swenson's ice cream and stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I worked in fast food and stuff because my family didn't have a whole lot of money coming up, and so I mean, for the things that I wanted, I had to, my parents, they would have bought it, but they would have gave me hell about buying it. So I'm just like,
was it to help the famay, or was it so you can get some spending cash?
So it's the spending cash.
Good. That's a good lesson. I mean, because
don't get me wrong. I mean, I grew up in a house. I mean, not a trailer house or anything, but a house out in the country, and our needs were met. It's just that when it came down to wants and stuff, those weren't met.
Gotcha. So if you wanted those Jordans, you wanted those Ewings, you had to get them yourself.
I had to get them myself, you know. And I've been working since the age of 15. Matter of fact, I started working in the program called JTPA. It was a Job Training Partnership Act at the time. It was called. And this was like early 90s, like 92. So I was 15 then. So I think the first thing that I bought with my money was a CD player.
Oh my goodness! Must have been like $800 for a CD player.
Man, I don't know.
I think in the 80s it was.
But that's the thing about technology. As things are mass produced, the price goes down.
Absolutely, man.
So I think mine. I think it was like maybe $60 or $70 that it was like one of them. It was like a Walkman CD.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So, and I think the first two CDs that I bought was Criss Cross.
You're so funny. That's exactly what I was going to ask you. What were the CDs you bought?
Yeah,
Criss Cross will make it jump.
Yeah, so that was like the popular CD of the time, and then I bought that, and I bought TLC. Both of those are.
You better believe it, man.
Both of those are Atlanta artists, per se. But yeah, those were the first two CDs that I ever bought, and I listened to. And even though
for a kid of that age, that's very diverse. Yeah. You had one hip hop and one R&B. You know, so those are two. Is that what your style back then? Is that what you were thinking?
That's what it was my style then, and it's my style now. I mean, granted, I still listen. I don't listen to today's music because I don't have a connection with it. But I will say that I still listen to old school rap. Stuff that kind of shaped me. I mean, the stuff that my aunts were listening to. Yeah. And so, I mean, I still revert back to that. And then I also listen to a lot of jazz and stuff because it relaxes me, per se. Sometimes you need music without words in order to sit back and just woosah, I guess.
Yeah, Criss Cross will make it jump, man. That is a fantastic. That's still the beginnings of hip hop, and man, it's hard to believe that Criss Cross is old school now. I mean, my favorite rapper of all time is Heavy D. And in fact, I was a firefighter for a while in Key Largo, and that was on the back of my helmet, Heavy D. I loved it, man. My name is Dan, but Heavy D. I liked the way he rapped, and I liked that it wasn't foul.
Well, I was just about to get to that point. See, I was only allowed to listen to a certain amount of music in my household because my household was very strict and religious, So, but and my parents generally had to approve of what I was listening to, and one of the artists that they approved of was Heavy D because he didn't curse,
Yes.
And TLC they didn't cuss, and then you had Chris Cross they didn't cuss either, so it was like that's safe.
Yeah, I mean, yes,
That's safe.
If you see, a lot of times the kids are wearing headphones. And their parents don't know what they're listening to.
I was about to get to that too.
Please.
I was about to get to that too because see, because would be my. Well, first of all, I should say my mom. She said whatever you're gonna listen to, put it to your own ears. Make sure that we don't hear it. Disturb us.
Right.
So I did have that choice to do that, and then as I got older, I started listening to music that wasn't so clean.
Right.
And I started buying old music.
Is it still in high school or just?
Yeah, this is still in high school.
Yeah,
This is still in high school. So I'm buying.
How was the crowd? Were you listening with your friends, or this is all on your own?
It's all on my own. I think I was like years ahead of my friends when it came to music, though, because I was still listening. I was listening to things that my aunts and stuff listened to, the music that they listened to, like Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire, and things of that nature. Those were the things that they listened to a lot. Michael Jackson, you name it, I was listening to it.
Well, that's our first experiences when we listen to what our family listened to, what our older folks. My mom, gave me, my first records, my first 8-track tapes. Yes, I'm a little older. I'm 51, so but 8-track tapes and 45 records. So they're the ones that shape you initially.
All the stuff you're talking about right now, that's very current to me because I know what that is. You ask somebody younger than us, like, what is that?
What is that?
What is that?
What's that, Grandpa?
What's a 45? What's a 78? What's a 8-track?
Right.
What's a CD?
Absolutely, man.
It's to the point now, it's like people don't even use CDs anymore. They use MP3 and 4 now.
I think it's a trope in old people in movies when they want to give something to their kids or their grandkids. Oh, I'll burn you a CD, and then Grandpa, what's that? Here's my thumb drive. Here's my phone. Just put it on my phone.
Yeah. Technology has a way of dividing generations and stuff.
I suspect, man. But we that grew up through all of it, I still know how to splice tape on a reel-to-reel with my radio stuff. So
yeah, it's crazy. And
extracurriculars. I mean, you listened to the school, listened to the records in school. What else are you doing?
Well, in high school, I should say again that I worked.
Worked.
I worked. So I wasn't involved in like football or anything like that. However, I did go support the games. My friends and stuff, whenever I had an off day or whatever, I would go and I'd watch them play.
Excellent.
So, I got to watch a lot of people that I respect today, come up through Conway Athletics. Like, there's people right now that I watched when I was a kid. Matter of fact, my cousin, Earl Criswell, was on the undefeated team when he was in junior high under the leadership of Rural Shepard. Yeah, today if you were to ask him, he would tell you that he never lost a football game until he got to high school.
See, you're going through history, man. It might be personal history to you, but anyone who's living in Conway, Arkansas is going to recognize some of those names. I like giving credit to where credit is due, man, and people that helped shape your life throughout time. Rickey
everybody has their town has their own local celebrities. A lot of their local celebrities are their sports figures. Like, I could name names today, like people that I recognize. These are people that I actually grew up, on the east side of on the east side of Conway. But I seen these people every day. But at the same time, in my mind, they're bigger than life.
Right.
I can name sports figures such as Aaron Howard, Touchdown Tony Turner, Rural Shepard. These are people that people in Conway would recognize, as being sports figures. Then you got people like even before me. I'm actually related to Lawson Pilgrim. Lawson Pilgrim was on the state championship team that went 36-0.
Get it?
You can't do it.
I'm not a guy that talks sports, but I love going to a sports game. I like going to.
Well, I'm kind of like that too. I don't talk sports either, but I give credit to where it's due. For people that put in the work. Yeah,
I appreciate the athleticism of someone who can make their bodies that strong. I did it. Back in the. When I was 22, I wanted to get into the fire department, so I ran. I made myself able to do these goals, and it wasn't easy. So I appreciate the athletes.
Well, I mean, here's how I see it. I mean, for a lot of people out there, they say, "Oh, you tell somebody that you've done something, like being a sports agent. Oh, I couldn't do that." I'm gonna tell you what, you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, anything you want to do, you can do. I mean, as long as you have the time and the focus, you can get it done. It's just about what you what steps are you willing to take to get there.
You have to have that mindset.
Got to be driven.
Oh, for
got to be
sure.
driven. Got to be driven. So yeah. Now I was gonna fast forward a little bit to before I went to college. Well, first of all, I should tell you that I'm a veteran.
Oh, look at you. Got the ring on?
Yes.
A veteran of what?
United States Marine Corps Reserve. So, yeah.
Okay. What was your job there?
Well, my job was very simple. I was a truck driver.
Very good.
Yeah, so you see these military trucks like 5 tons and Cut Vs, LVS, I'm trying to think of something else, Hummers. Yeah, so all of those I was classified to drive.
That's
Are we doing good on time?
We can go forever and ever, man.
Okay,
I got nothing to do. It's all Rickey G day.
I just want to make sure we had enough time to talk.
I was just making sure that the thing was still recording.
Okay.
But yes, you're a truck driver, lifeblood of America, man. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you got to realize transportation in the military is highly important because you got to realize what you're transporting. 90% of the time you're transporting 2 things. You're transporting troops.
Yep.
And you're transporting supply. Now, supply is the most important, and the time of day you decide to do it is very important too. One of the things you got to realize that supply is highly important because if you can take out an enemy supply, then you got them. So you're always on guard, with somebody, trying to protect the perimeter, making sure that you get from point A to point B.
Well, every time I studied wars, it was blowing up the bridges,
Yeah.
making sure they couldn't get their supplies.
Yeah.
And the only downside to blowing up those bridges, you couldn't get back either.
Right. So you got to make sure whatever decision you make that you're going to be able to recover from it.
Correct. So driving trucks in the Marine Corps, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did you get to visit any places around the world?
Well, yeah, they sent me to Kosovo back in 1999-ish. But we weren't there that long, though.
Yeah.
It was like maybe like a split second for, I say from, because it didn't last that long. It was like maybe a year, but we were only there, 6 months?
Well, I mean, and I've said it before on this podcast, I wish there wasn't a need for an armed forces. I wish that those resources could be better used to help people all over the world. But I know that that's a byproduct. Sometimes when we do have conflicts with certain nations, then afterwards, the aftermath will help rebuild. Did you ever get to experience any of that, or
What, rebuilding anything? No.
Tearing down or rebuilding?
Well, no,
if
none
you
of that.
care to discuss.
Well, no, not really. Like I said, then again, when you're talking about the military, there's only so much you can discuss anyway, because
Right.
It's pertinent information.
Wait, I can tell you, but I'd have to no.
right. So there's only so much I can talk about in that aspect. But what I can tell you is that I enjoyed my time in.
Yeah, how long?
It's only a standard 4 years.
4 years. Hey,
Yeah.
that's 4 years more than me.
Well, but I'm gonna tell you what. I mean, and this goes back to what I was telling you earlier about how people say that. Well, when people tell you that they can't do anything, do a certain thing, then I'm always gonna tell them that they're wrong because you can. Like, I'm gonna take for instance myself. I've been 5'4" majority of my adult life,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's gonna change anytime soon. I've been expanded in the waist a little bit, but I mean, as for height, no, it is what it is. But the point is, people used to, I guess discredit me because of how short I was, saying, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that," and I ended up proving them wrong. I mean, there's so many things that I learned in the Marine Corps. Oh my goodness, like hand-to-hand combat. My goodness, dude, I could pull a Jet Li on you real quick.
You're teaching people about low center of gravity.
No, I mean, that's
wasn't
a lot
that
of-
Tony Cox? Yeah, he said that in one movie. I can't remember what movie it was. It was Me, Myself, and Irene. He was the limo driver, and Jim. I think he was talking to Jim Carrey's character, and he said, "Let me show you about low center of gravity," because he's a little man too. You know who Tony Cox is, right?
Well, I'd be lying if I said I did.
Well, the little guy in he's a bad Santa. He's a little person.
Okay, well, I had to look that up.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway.
I had to do my homework on that one. But yeah.
Okay, as a smaller. Well, I mean, you're not that small.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm under 6 foot. It's about as good as I can get. But
yeah.
But I have
You're
done
sturdy, gentleman.
Oh yeah, I can hold my own.
Yeah, you can. You got that hand-to-hand combat.
I can hold my own. But the point is, like I said,
so being in the military gave you confidence.
it gave me yeah. I mean, it gave me a lot of confidence to do a lot of things that I didn't think I could do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I learned about a core value such as honor, courage, and commitment as well. You know, that and having pride in serving this nation. You know, those are the things that because when you tell somebody you're a Marine, they automatically, get this uneasy feeling because they don't, because they think Marines are crazy, that is not that far away from the truth.
Well, I mean, first, there's an instant mindset is that you served in the military.
Yeah.
You did something that not a lot of people would do, and you volunteered to do that. It wasn't like you were drafted into that. And so it takes a certain kind of mindset. I wanted to go into the Navy, but I got in a motorcycle wreck like 2 days before I was supposed to go in, really. And so my brother was in the Navy, and it changed him. He dropped out of high school, and he's told this story on this podcast before. He dropped out of high school, but then he went to the Navy, and it straightened him right up. So he did that 4 or 6 years.
They have a way of doing that because it's just like the training is very rigorous, and I will say that Marines, we strive off of physical ability. I mean, everything we do is physical. You think whether or not, especially when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, because what are you going to do when you run out of bullets?
You got that right.
You got to know what else you got to do, right? So
when you went in, were you in shape, or did the Marines make you in shape?
No, I'm going to say I was not as in shape as I should have been, because I could run really well. I mean, I was always fast, and then even though I didn't play basketball per se, and as for extracurricular sports and stuff, I was still pretty decent on the court in my old neighborhood. So I mean, I wasn't like coming through the hole and swinging and banging on people, or nothing like that. But you give me a nice little outside shot, I could rain for days on them.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very
matter
good.
of fact, I think somebody has video footage of me recently at a UCA game. There's a quick story about that. It was at halftime. Well, first of all, before halftime, they were some of the people that were doing the promotions or whatever that came around and asked people if they would want to, be a participant. And a lot of those younger people was like, nah, I'm not finna do all of that. There's a lot of people out here. I'm not finna do that. Embarrassment stuff. And here it is. I'm sitting next to these people and listening to them talk. I'm like, I'll do it. And here, now, keep in mind, I'm in full dress suit here. Dressed up, shiny shoes, all this good stuff, But I still, that's just how much of the love of the game I have, So I wanted to get out there and just have some fun, win or lose. So anyway, they called my name, and they gave me this basketball, and they told me that I had a certain time limit to shoot these shots. Yeah. Okay, so I'm out here competing with another person across the way. We're at two different ends of the court. Right. I'm at one goal, they're at another goal. All right, so as soon as they hit the clock, man, I start shooting. And every single last shot I hit, it went in just like...
What?
Yeah, I mean, just
How
right...
many shots?
It's 3, because I
had...
3
shots, 3 in.
3 shots, 3 in. I mean, because I had to lay up, I hit the free throw shot, and 3-point, all under 10 seconds. So I think we had like maybe a minute to do all of that, and they said I was the first person in a long time that's done that. And here it is, I'm dressed up. I just nailed in the back, and it was, matter of fact, I want to say this was the day of the current president of the UCA. It was his birthday, I think it was.
Look at you doing stuff on special days, being born, having this achievement. Now, how'd the other person do?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to them.
That's right.
I was just focused in the zone doing my own thing,
So, and what did you win for this?
Well, it was something. Well, the promotion was something from Moe's, and to this day they still have yet to collect on that. But so hey. Moe's, I'm still looking for you.
Come on, Moe's, get that man a gift card or something. Tell him welcome to Moe's. Here's a gift card.
I'm still looking for you, Moe's. So, but yeah, it wasn't about the promotion. For me, it was more so for fun. I just wanted to get out there and have fun. Like I said, whether I won or not, I just wanted to be out there and having fun.
And this is while you were in college?
Oh, no, this is like that was a recent event that just happened within like earlier this year before this whole COVID thing.
Look at you with bragging rights. So how the people that you came with, how'd they feel when you did that, man? Did they make you feel good?
It's all about ego sometimes. Sometimes, hey, good job, pat on the back. That's pretty much all it was. They was happy that I did as well as I did.
That's beautiful.
I mean, but
it's nice to achieve, man. It's nice to have that athleticism, that hand-eye coordination. Me getting into the bucket, no, not really. Can't do it. But not that I couldn't do it. If I practiced enough, I probably could do it.
Like I said, it's all about focus. I mean, whatever you choose to focus on your talents on per se. I mean, people in this world are smart in certain areas. Like whatever they want to be smart in. You got doctors, lawyers, all that stuff. I mean, that's not to say they're smarter than you. It's just that their focus was different. I mean, you probably could have been one if you chose that field.
Sure.
I mean, that's pretty much how life is. Is if you put forth the focus into getting things done, you can make it happen. It's just all about how you're willing to go about doing it. And how much time you're willing to give yourself to do it.
So finishing up high school, a good student, and then you went into college?
No. Well, in high school, I wasn't that great a student. I mean, I was just a B and C student.
Hey, top 3, A, B, C.
I mean, I wasn't failing by any means. I mean, I could backhand myself now for the grades that I got because, I guess, my mom. I'm always talking about my mom.
Good. She shaped your life, man. You learned a lot from Mom.
I'm not going to... Yeah, she was always constantly telling me, she said, boy, you're smart. She said, you're just wasting your potential. And, looking back on it, and, she was right because I really wasn't all that focused. I was just... I didn't even think that I'd ever want to go to college. I always thought that college was for smart people. I learned later that it's not the case. It's just like I told you before. It's about focus. Because I'm gonna tell you what, and I'm gonna get you into that too. Now I'm gonna tell you about. I told you about me going to the military. Now fast forward.
Now was the military before college?
Yes, it was. It was. Yes, it was.
Okay.
College, so
how did you get recruited into the military?
How did I?
I mean, did you? What made you think about the military?
Well, okay. Well, let me go. Well, let me talk about that then. This was 1995. Well, first of all, I should tell you about my stepdad. My stepdad was someone that always pushed me to do things. Good. So, but he was crazy like that. he would say stuff to me like when I was 13 years old, and whenever I turned a birthday, he was like, because his thing, you're gonna have to be a man sometime. Right. He just never let me just go through life not knowing that I wasn't gonna be a man. He's like, you gonna have to do something at some point. You're not gonna be here forever. He let that be known up front. He's like, my responsibility for you is going to be up at a certain time. So, you need to get yourself together as of right now. So anyways, moving forward with that, he would always say stuff like, oh, you're 13. Good for you. You got 4 years to get the hell out of my house, right?
Oh, okay.
Those are his words, not mine.
I could see it.
I mean, and he said that every time I turned a birthday, oh, you're 15. Same thing,
That's going to push you into responsibility.
So I'm just like, man.
Kind of parenting.
Yeah,
man.
So I just, the whole time I'm just thinking about what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So finally I get to my senior year and he's same, and I keep in mind my birthday was in October, remember?
Yes.
And so October came and I turned 18. So what's your plan, boy?
Oh.
What you gonna do?
Wow.
So again I had to come up with my solution. And so career day, everybody has career day now. So career day, you had people from the community, colleges and trade schools and stuff, military, they come to you and they ask you, they present something for you to look forward to doing, for life beyond high school, of course. Right. And so, with that being said, I talked to the Army first, because, be honest with you, the Marines wasn't my first choice. I was thinking about Army because I wanted to be like my stepdad in a sense, at first, because, I mean, that's all he ever talked about was, because he was before, I would say this, he was a sergeant in the Army, and his job was field artillery.
Was that the job he was doing?
No.
Or was that something?
No, I'm just saying that's
previous?
what he had done previously prior to him marrying my mother. But I mean, that's something that was in.
So not a career.
No. This was like old. Well, keep in mind, I should tell you that my mother's husband was considerably older than her.
Yeah.
He was an old man when he married my mom. He was in his, I say old man now, but because I don't know, I don't consider it old now because I'm about to approach that age. But he was
Perspective.
He was at the time he was an old man to me.
Right.
And I will say this about him. He did a lot of shaping my life. I mean, he even gave me pieces of his life growing up. And but yeah, the military was something that he talked about, and he talked about field artillery. Matter of fact, he was in the Korean War. That's how old he is. Well, was, should I say? So he had from like 50 to 53. He was involved in the Korean War, and he even had pictures. I'm pretty sure my mom still has those pictures somewhere of him being a young man and traveling to Korea and all this and stuff. And telling me about the life is, being a veteran and stuff. So, but yeah, he always made it so that I was gonna, be shaped into a man, and so that's why.
How in depth did he go with you about the Korean War?
Well, he didn't know. There's only so much that he told me about it. Well, he was in during segregated times.
Yes.
This was a time when I wouldn't say after 1948 is when they finally integrated. So he's just now getting used to, working alongside white people.
Yeah, but there were still battalions that were segregated. Right?
Yeah, right.
I've heard, when I was studying the Korean War, that's in the back of my head.
Yeah.
Is that there were still, the white force and the black force.
Oh yeah, it was still a lot of that going on, and there. He told me about life as it was for him growing up, and during segregation, I learned a lot of my education through segregation through him.
Where was he growing up? Here in Conway?
Well,
Arkansas,
no. He actually grew up in a place called Mount Vernon, Arkansas.
Mount Vernon, Arkansas.
Yeah, that's right.
Still the South.
Yeah,
very
right.
much the South.
Right outside of Enola. But he didn't. He said his family moved to Conway in like 1942 or so.
Okay.
So yeah, a large portion of his teenage and kid years were spent in Mount Vernon. And he said at the time that he grew up, it was densely populated with a number of black people. But then as time went on, things changed, and his family wanted to be a little bit more progressive and make a little bit more money, so they moved to Conway in 1942. So yeah, that's his life.
Yeah.
But he told me about how Conway was, and he said that Conway years ago used to be highly prejudiced.
Yeah.
And just hearing about life through him and other people that have lived here previously, even on my mother's side of the family, they had certain rules and regulations that you had to abide by if you're an African American citizen here. How you'd have to move off the sidewalk if a white person was coming, traveling on the same sidewalk. You had to move off and all this, and you couldn't look too hard at a white woman, and it's a whole bunch of things that they told me that you had to do as far as personal conduct.
Right.
So and those stories never went away, that's why I am the person that I am now. In regards to dealing with people, I'm glad that I live in an era that I don't have to abide by those certain rules that they did.
Yeah.
But I understand the fight that they had to fight in order to get to the present.
All we can do as people is make it better and better, man. You're going to hear those stories from Grandpa and Dad, and Grandma and Mom. But as people, man, we got to push further and further away from that mindset. So, even as old as I am, sometimes I think the mindset might be going too far in the other direction, where people are it's stuck in my mind, and I'm all for people doing what they want to do, but I can't understand a fluid genders and where people think that identify as a puppy, or identify it's going far in the other direction.
It is what it is, but it just all goes back to what I was telling you earlier. We got to learn, regardless of how people choose to live their life, you still have a personal responsibility to treat them as you would want them to be, yourself to be treated.
That's correct.
So what you do over there is your business, but once it starts to infringe on mine, then we have a problem.
Right, understand it or not, just let them be the way they want to be, I guess, right?
Yeah, let them do what they're going to do. If you want to be whatever it is, you identify as, and so, go do that, but, don't bring it to me. Just don't bring that to me. Keep your choice over there.
Okay, all right. Well, that'd be separate but equal, wouldn't it? Well, if you kept it over there, right?
Well, here's the thing. It kind of is, but you got to realize this is the type of country that we live in. We keep saying that we're post-racial, but I don't really think we are, because I don't think there's ever been a time where racism didn't exist.
It's still out there.
It still is. It's just, I think to me, it's just done differently.
Right.
You know, I mean, you got to realize this institutional racism. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that we've had to deal with in this country, especially being African American, which I'm a member of. So, I mean, there's so many things that we had to deal with. I mean, you got to realize years ago we used to couldn't live in the places that we wanted to, as we do today. I mean, due to redlining.
What's that?
Redlining is basically where people were told where they could live, you know, like African Americans specifically.
Right.
You know, certain areas were designated for them, per se.
It gets real political, man, because if you see some of these, well, I mean, I'm not that hard into politics, but I see some of the lines that get drawn for political maps, so the voting gets skewed in one direction or the other. It's really, you know, some of these lines, they don't look, they should all be squares, you know.
Yeah.
This is a voting area, this is a voting area, square. And they're not squares.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, in regards to voting, especially in the city, things have changed. You know, there used to be designated places where you had to vote, you know, like if you lived in a certain area, you had to vote over here. But now Poland is different now because you can vote basically anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live. Like, you got places like you can vote at the courthouse, you can vote at any place that says you can vote, you can go vote there.
Yeah.
So it's different. You're not restricted to where you can vote. As long as it says you can vote there, you can vote there.
Really fast forwarding to what's going on right now is, you know, the president is against mail-in voting, and he actually mail-in voted his last time, election. It's a certain contradiction that's going on. It's weird.
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about him. I'm gonna be the first to tell you, I'm not a big, huge fan of Mr. 45.
He's polarizing, man. He's definitely polarizing.
I'm not. There's a lot of things that I just think that his administration comes off as being tyrannical,
and he puts it all out there on social media.
There's certain people that love that, though. I mean, they love the fact that he says what he says. But here's the thing.
Yeah. He's saying it right.
Let me say this. You know, just because you're saying what you feel, it does not mean that you are right.
That's right.
Doesn't mean that you're right.
He's transparent as can be, man. That's for sure.
And I understand where people are going with that, too, because a lot of politicians of the past were people that, you know, they talked in code. It's like you ask them a question, but they'd say an answer that wasn't directed to that to that question. You know, it's like they dance around the issue, and a lot of people were upset about that, and still are upset about people that conducted themselves as such.
Well, that's politics, man. Sometimes they'll ask you a question, and you'll just totally answer the question that you wanted to answer to begin with. I think that gets taught to them, ingrained in them.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
whether in politics school, whatever that is.
I'm gonna go back to that because see, I have a firm love for politics. I mean,
yeah, okay.
You got to realize that. I mean, it's just like politicians get a bad rep, just like police officers do. Because I'm gonna tell you what. To be honest with you, there are a lot of people that want to do good.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm with you on that.
Now politics. Here's the thing about politics. A lot of people don't realize just because you want to do good does not mean that you will get the chance to do it. Why? Because people vote. You can have the greatest heart in the world to want to serve your community, but if your community didn't want you to do it, then you won't get a chance to do it. And it's sad, but it's the way it works.
You think politics corrupts everybody? In one way or another, in some respect?
Here's the thing. I think you have to come into politics with a moral code already built into it.
Yes.
If not, you will get overtaken by the current. Because, I mean, you'll find that you'll have people that don't know who they are or whatever, per se, will get... It's just like with anything. Let's just say you join in the military. There's people, like, for instance, that didn't have an idea who they were. But because they joined this particular organization, now they're becoming who that organization is. And it's sad, but it's just the way they are. Because I know people right now, to this day, that freaking talk like dogs. You know, that's how a lot of Marines talk. Well, because they didn't have a sense of self. And as myself, I always knew who I was. I just joined it because it was a means to an end for me. It was something that I had to do in order to, you know, survive, per se.
Well, you didn't have one of those jobs, man. You had a job that was very important, truck driving, but you didn't have one of those jobs where you were, very...
Well, it doesn't matter what type of job. Yeah. I think if you have a sense of self of who you are, because you have people that had my job that did the exact same thing that they did. But it's like I said, it's all about knowing who you are. And let's say, fast forward, let's talk about people in fraternities and sororities. And there's a lot of people in college. There's people that come to college searching for an identity, and then they join a particular fraternity or sorority, and they become whatever that stigma is about that fraternity or sorority. So like it just goes back to my point. You have to have a sense of self, knowing who you are before you join anything. And going back to politics, if you don't have a sense of that moral code built into you, then you will get overtaken by the corruptness part of it.
Yeah. I mean, well, going back into it, when you got out of the Marines, you went straight to college. What did you want to be?
There you go.
And did you join one of those sorority or fraternities? I'm sorry.
No, here's the thing. After being a Marine, I didn't think anything got any better than that, and I still don't. So I never joined a fraternity or anything like that because I thought I was at the top of the cream of the crop. You know,
I'm thinking this is 99, somewhere around there.
No. Well, it was. I didn't get involved in college until 2001.
Okay,
I didn't enroll.
Well, shortly after your stint.
Yeah, but see, I didn't
because you graduated in 95 and.
Yeah, no, I graduated in 96.
96. Sorry.
Yeah, from 96 to 2000, I was in the Marine Corps. So, but yeah, since you're already talking about that, let me go back to that story about I was going to tell you about why I went to college.
Please.
Okay, 98 or so, I got my first car.
What'd you get?
Well, it wasn't a brand new car.
I don't care.
It wasn't a brand new car.
My first was a Comet, 1975 Comet.
Well,
this is
my first car was an 81 Buick Century.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a big car for a little man, I guess. but I enjoyed it. It was something that I enjoyed having. Per se. But anyway, like I said, the first place that I went long distance wise was to my grandmother's house because she sent for me. When your elders send for you, you have to go. It's just the way it is.
And a car gave you that freedom. So don't diss that car. It was a good car.
Okay. Well, moving forward,
yes,
grandma, she sent for me, and keep in mind I hadn't seen her in like 3 years at this point. And I should also tell you, she's a woman that battled with diabetes. You know, and matter of fact, she had both of her legs cut off. But
wow.
Yeah, and do that. I mean, that was just to keep her alive.
Did you know that your whole life, or is that something that happened?
That was something that happened a little bit later. You know, as I grew up, and that I didn't know about until that point.
Wow.
So, but anyway,
and she's still living on the 85 acres.
No. She died in.
She was still living.
Yeah, she was still living at that point. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I get sent for, and I go down there, and we had a nice little conversation.
Please.
And the conversation was me going to college, and she was like, well, first of all, she told me about herself, about her life as a young woman. She said, after she graduated high school, her parents had a little bit of money, and so they saved up enough for her to go to college, And so at the time she went to, it was called AM&N College. It's now called the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, UAPB. But she was sent there, and she did like most college students do. They get a little freedom, and she ended up failing out of school. But now, granted, she did get involved with other extracurricular activities. In fact, I found out she was an Eastern Star, Order of Eastern Star, OES.
What's that?
It's kind of what the Masons are. It's just like for the female version, I guess.
Is it part of the Masons?
No, I don't know if they're part. I don't know if they have anything to do with one another, but I just know that that's what she was a part of.
But a group that does what kind of thing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like I said, that's beyond my knowledge what they do. All I know is that she was a part of that. But anyway, she, like I said, she sent for me, and we had this conversation about her life. And she said that after she fell out of school and became a member of that, she said that she came back home and she wanted to get married. She met this nice man. And they got married, had 2 kids. I had my uncle and my dad. And she just figured that, by her having 2 kids, that eventually they want to go to college, right? Wrong. Neither one of them went. Uh-oh. So she was looking at me like, look, Rick, you my last hope for this. You got to do this. You got to go to college. I don't care how long you stay, but you got to make this happen. And I was like, okay, but at the same time, I was like, I was in my early 20s. I mean, I was a young socialite too, and I wasn't thinking about college at the time. It just wasn't on my radar. But she told me, well, first of all, she gave me a backpack. And this backpack, she said, if and when you do decide to go to college, I want you to have this backpack. and I want to give it to you so that you have something to put your books in, you know. And
Was it a new backpack or was
it was
it
a brand new backpack?
Oh, okay.
Brand new backpack.
I thought it was something maybe like a family heirloom.
No. She went and bought this thing. So I was like, okay, Grandma, yeah, I mean, I'd do it. And in my mind, I'm lying, but that's not what I said. So, but a year later, she dies in 1999, you know. And I was crushed. I was like, dang it, now I really got to do this. So a couple of years went by, you know, so I'm trying to figure out, at this time I'm trying to figure out, you know, what my life is going to look like, you know, how am I going to get into college,
right?
You know, so I'm like, what am I going to do to get to college? So I took the ACT, made a really decent score, you know, enough to where I could get accepted somewhere.
But you were in the Marines at this point when you went to see your grandma, right?
Yeah, 1999 it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, this was a special trip. Like I said, she sent for me.
Right.
Yeah, but I had time, you know, to do it, so I did.
Okay.
So, but yeah, 2000 came. I got out of the Corps, and a year later, in the fall of fall of 2001, I ended up in the University of Central Arkansas. Now, granted, that was my test semester because, and for me, I told you I was a very religious man here. So I started to pray a lot.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I was working overnight and going to school in the day too, doing this, which I don't advise anybody to do if you can help it.
Still fast food, Joe jobs?
No. Actually, I was working at Walmart at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a job working in Walmart, working at night. And I worked as an overnight grocery department worker. Very strenuous work and very time. I mean, trust me, you had to get after it if you're going to have that job.
No, whenever I go in the middle of the night, those people are just working, man.
Yeah,
they don't want to talk to you. They just got to get through what they got to get through.
Yeah, because you only got so much time. You got to put this stuff on the shelf.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, I worked every night, went to school today. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I did a lot of praying.
Right.
So my first semester was my test semester. So I prayed hard. I said, Lord, if you really want me to be here, you'll make it happen. Mm-hmm. And so, man, after that end of the semester, and keep in mind, I've seen a lot of stuff happen too. I've seen people on presidential scholarship fail in that first semester too. I mean, people that you would have thought that would have, gone on and done really good, grade wise, ended up failing because they partied a little bit too hard.
Well, speaking of, did you have a GI Bill of some kind helping you out?
Well, there's that, but
how were you paying for school?
Well, I was just about to say, I had part of that, but at the same time, I got ignorant throughout a lot of my career and got loans that I need to take out.
That's what happens.
So, but I mean, it's one thing to have it, but it's another thing to say, we'll give you this little money or whatever. You just pay it back whenever you're going to pay it back.
I know I went to college and they threw me credit cards and loans, and I'm like,
it's free money. Yeah,
I'm 18.
Sure.
What do I know? Yeah, sure, I'll sign up for everything. Ruin my credit.
Yeah, so then there's that. So yeah, I'm on the hook for that. But eventually, I mean, I hope that I'll get to a point where I eventually pay all that stuff off. But yeah, back to what I was saying. My first semester was my test semester, and I ended up with a 3.8.
That's nice.
I never saw that the whole time I was in high school. Like I said, I could backhand myself for the grades.
What were you studying? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I wanted to be involved in television production.
Dig it.
Yeah, so that's why I got my degree in television production.
I got a little piece of that in there, radio and television.
Yeah, but it's what I did for a career, no, because I realized one thing. Here's something that people need to do. If you ever decide you want to go do anything for a career, you should talk to somebody in that career first before you decide you want to do that, because then they'll give you the ins and outs of that career. And I didn't have anybody telling me. The only thing I was doing is going off a straight passion.
Yeah,
I should have done a little bit more research, because in television production, I mean, see, I wanted to be the producer guy, the guy being God behind the scenes per se.
Sure enough, you always have a job. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. In that particular job, you don't just. Like, let's say doctors, you study to be a doctor, you are a doctor after it. You generally, get the job being a doctor.
Right.
In television production or in that industry, not so much. You usually start out as like a freaking production assistant or something silly behind the scenes that doesn't make as much money.
Right.
And the way I was looking at it, I was like, and see, to be a television producer or whatever, that's one of the jobs that causes you to be very nomadic too, though, because it's not to say that you can get a job working where you want to work. You go wherever the job is. So it causes you to be very nomadic. And for me, I'm not that type of person, so I was just like, I never really pursued it. But I still have the passion for it.
Right.
I just never really pursued it, and that's not to say I won't eventually. It's just that as of right now, it's just not in my focal point. It's not in my sights. So, but yeah, I did go to school for television production, and I learned a lot of stuff about camera angles and zooms and different cameras and different screens, about what screen does what. Like, see, a lot of the things that we see on TV, that's the final thing that we're seeing.
Right.
But you got other cameras and stuff before we get to that point. You know what I'm saying? That, so like I said, what we're seeing is the program screen. Now the other screens are like camera screens that you're looking at.
Right.
So you got camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and then you got other people that are working. Like, you got the technical director. You got the producer, you got the technical director, you got the director, the floor director. All these people work in order to make this thing happen, behind the scenes.
Absolutely, man. You see an actor in the front. You see that was this the anchor man or the anchor lady sitting in front there. That's just one person. There's 20 people behind the scenes on that, at least.
Yeah, so you got a whole crew behind the scenes that are making this thing happen.
Yeah.
So I thought I wanted to be a part of it, and like I said, I still I'm very passionate about it. And matter of fact, I've met a lot of people throughout my life that still work in that field. Matter of fact, I went to college with a woman that is now working on Channel 4 in the daytime. Her name is Mallory Brooks, but at the time
I know Mallory Brooks. I worked
at the time she was Mallory Hardin.
Yeah, I worked for Crane down in Little Rock, and we met up a few times. She got on our radio station, 93.3, The Source Sports Radio. Now, you know what's funny? I was in sports radio, but I didn't really like talking about sports. Thankfully, I was the producer, and it was Razorbacks that were primarily doing the shows. So, Mallory's great, man.
Oh, yeah, man, but like me and her and a few other people that are in the industry today in this area. I mean, we all had some of the same classes. Heck, I used to freaking flirt with her. I used to flirt with her every day.
Why wouldn't you?
I did.
She's
but I didn't find out until later that she was the president's daughter.
Uh-oh.
But I will say this about the Hardins. They're all great people.
Yeah.
I got to meet her brother, her mother. Oh, I love Miss Mary Hardin. Miss Hardin is near and dear to my heart. It's like whenever I saw her, she would always give me a hug as if I was one of her children, and that made me feel special. I mean, she was one of the people that morally helped me get through college, that gave you that love to say, no, you can do it. She was one of those people. And like I said, to this day, I have a special place in my heart for her.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
See, these are people that shaped your lives, man. That helped you as you were growing up. In this world.
But the president though at the time, Lou Hardin, that dude I thought he was more of a politician than anything. Because
the president of what?
UCA at the time.
UCA,
it was her father. Now he's a different kind of guy. Now I think he was more so politicianist because every time he saw you, it's more like he never really used my name per se. He'd always say a blanket statement, which a lot of politicians use. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you.
And they won't say nice to meet you because sometimes they may have met you before.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to stand the chance of, oh, you already met me. Mm-hmm. You met me 4 times already. Mm-hmm. You just don't remember. Mm-hmm. Oh, good to see you.
It's good to see you.
I have definitely taken that into heart as well. Because I meet hundreds of people every week at these different shows that I do, and man, I don't want to run that risk of good to meet you. No, good to see you.
It's good to see you.
That's just smart. Kids, you just learned something very smart. Say good to see you until you figure out whether you've met them before. Because as you get older, like me, your brain starts losing people.
You ain't never lying. But I'm gonna tell you what though. There's a trick that I learned years ago from a good old fashioned politician by the name of Bill Clinton.
Please.
First of all, I should tell you, my dad's family is from Hope, Arkansas.
Oh, Hope. That sounds pretty familiar for Bill Clinton.
Yeah. So they, a lot of them knew him growing up. Matter of fact, back in 2010 or so, I met him for the first time.
Wow.
Yeah. Now keep in mind, I had seen. Well, I say I met him.
Like met him.
Like I met him as in having a conversation with him in 2010. Now, granted, I'd seen him and had his first book autographed back in 2004.
Right.
Yeah, but I actually met him in 2010, and it's funny because right about this time is when Blanche Lambert Lincoln was running for re-election, and I was at the time, I think it was like I want to say it was like the summer of that year, somewhere in August or whatever. I had gone to like a family reunion or whatever, and I told them where I was, because I was leaving from that event to go, to be at this event, where Blanche Lincoln was going to be. And
Blanche Lincoln is what?
Well, she used to be the former one of our congressmen.
Congress. Okay.
Yeah, she was running for Congress.
Yeah, I'm from Miami, so
okay,
this is still kind of new for me.
Yeah, but anyway, at the time she was running for Congress, re-election for Congress. But anyway, I was in that at a family reunion or whatever. It was like because they do this like every August or whatever. Because where my dad is from, they built a church down there. The family built a church, and like for every year, a different version of the family will come back and host the family reunion. Like my part of the family is the Spencer Gullies. That's the part of the family. But anyway, moving forward.
I only know you as Rickey G. I don't know your.
Yeah,
your
that's
real...
Gully is actually my last name. But I shortened it because I knew that people would remember G fast. They would remember my original last name. It's branding purposes.
What's funny is one of my Facebook pages is Danny G. My alternate Facebook to the Keys Dan page is Danny G.
Matter of fact, I've done a little history on you too. Matter of fact, you used to be known as Dancing Danny G years ago, right?
Hey, we're not supposed to talk about that. That's what it says in the bio. That was back when I was interning in the radio.
I figure it's all fair game up in here, right? If we're gonna talk about me, let's talk about you too. So.
Oh man, it's Rickey G Day for
okay.
sure.
Well, okay. But anyway, like I said, back then or whatever, I was bragging about how I was getting ready to come up here to see Miss Lincoln speak, and I told her that Bill Clinton was going to be there, and one of my family members was like, and she asked me who it was. I can't remember that because, like I said, I didn't grow up with these people.
Right.
They just hauled out, we from Hope. We know him. Tell him such and such said hello, blah blah blah. If you run into him. So I was like, yeah, whatever. He don't know you.
But Hope, as far as I know, is a small town too, right?
Yeah, it is.
So you had very similar upbringings.
Yeah, so I'm just like, man, whatever, right? Anyway, so I get to this event or whatever, and we get to the point to where we start shaking hands and all that stuff with him, and I just so happened to mention my family member's name. Well, first of all, I should tell you about why they knew him, because they said they knew him because he was the only white kid that played with black kids. So they knew him.
What is it all about that say that he was the first black president? Why is that?
Well, I don't know. I don't even know how to. I don't even want to get into that because
how did that come about?
I don't even know. I can't even tell you he even coined that phrase. I don't
okay,
know.
all right, but you are aware that phrase is out there.
I know
somewhere.
it exists, but I don't know why.
I have no idea either.
No, but anyway, let me get back to the story
Please.
though, because I only got so much time.
Only white kid that played with black kids.
Only white kid
Gotcha.
that played with black kids. So I was like, okay, that's how they said they knew him. So anyway, like I said, I get there to the event and I told him, I introduced myself, and then just out of the blue, I mentioned my family member's name. I said, such and such told me to say hi, and then all of a sudden he just turned into a totally different person. It's like, yeah, I know that, blah, blah, blah. And he puts his arm around me like the old white man.
do your best, Bill. Do your best, Bill Clinton, on that one. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Well, I can't get his voice per se. I'm not even going to attempt
to put the thumb out there.
Not even going to get into all of that, though, bro. But invitations, because I know I screwed up. But the point is, we get to talking or whatever, and he told me about something that I just used today, and I wanted to share this secret with all of you guys. Whenever you meet somebody, allow them to tell you a story about themselves, because the thing about it is, it's like, even if you can't remember their name, you still will remember the story that they told you. So next time you see them, be like, hey, so how's that dog doing?
Yeah.
Even if you don't remember their name, you at least remember something that they told you about themselves.
You giving the people gems, Rickey G. Good job, man.
that's how it's worked for me, and that's how I'm able to remember a lot of people, because I sit back and I allow them to tell me a story about themselves, and I told you how good of a listener I am. I listen to people when they talk to me, and again, like you said, me and names and stuff don't always correlate, but when it comes down to stories, oh man, I'm in stories all day, every day, and I think that's how he works too. That's why I think that he was very likable amongst the people, because he allowed you to talk to him. Even in the interviews, I mean, he allowed you. I don't care if the governor was right here next to him. If you were talking to him, you were talking to him.
Yes.
And that's how I do myself. Like, I always give people my undivided attention. Even if I'm talking to you on the phone and you have something to tell me, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, let me turn this TV down so I can hear you.
Absolutely, man. You got to be present with people.
Yeah,
Here we are sitting in the middle of Laurel Park in Conway, Arkansas. There's people walking around, and I've glanced up and said things, but I got to be present with Rickey G.
Oh,
that's who I'm here to talk to and find out more about, and that's what you, my loyal listeners, have been listening to. I love it, man. So you met the president. Well. Wait, he was the president back then.
Wait, no, not in 2010.
No,
back then he was just a guy that said, "Hey."
He was doing speaking engagements.
Yeah, he was doing speaking engagements and also supporting people that were running for office. His friends that had helped him get elected. So yeah. But as for my life now, like I was telling you before, I love.
Well, tell me about college, man. I mean,
college.
What did you end up in at University of Central Arkansas?
Well, I told you. Well, first of all, I should tell you, I was first.
Did you finish?
Yes. I was just about to get to that. I graduated in 2006. I was first on both sides of my family, both my mother and dad's side of the family to graduate from college. So I'm first generation.
Grandma's proud.
Yes, she is.
Oh, she's up there going, yes.
Man, I tell you.
Oh, wait, what happened to the book bag? Did you use that book bag?
Well, okay. I'm glad you asked about that, man. Okay. Let me run that back now. Every day. Well, first of all, I should tell you, I wanted to have the full college experience, so I ended up, living on the campus.
Yeah.
I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. So I lived on campus for like the majority of my college career. But each day when I got up to go to class, after I'd taken a shower and whatever, I would get up and I would talk to this bag. I said, "Come on, Grandma, it's time to go to college. Time to go to class." And I talked to this, and I kept this bag for up to my junior year, and it was to the point. I had destroyed this bag. Seriously, just because it was one of them bags to where you could actually. It had rollers on it to where it had it had back straps to it, but you also could roll it. And I was like,
she sprung for the good bag.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, but it got to the point to where I rolled it so much that I burnt off the back straps.
Yeah.
And it was to the point to where the lunch ladies, they felt bad for me because they was like, "Look at you in this raggedy looking bag." I was like, "That's my grandma's bag. What are you talking about? I'll keep this forever." So it wasn't until like my junior year that they got together with themselves and pulled together and got me a brand new JanSport bag.
Come on.
Yeah, so I had to retire, Grandma.
Yeah, but that's how liked you are. They took the time to get you a bag.
Yeah, they got me a brand new bag, though, man.
What?
So I used that bag for...
Good things happen to good people, man.
Yeah,
this is because you were a good person.
Mm-hmm.
What?
But yeah, so they got me a brand new JanSport bag, and that's a $100 backpack. So I was like, I'm gonna have to retire you, Grandma. Sorry, love you.
Where'd that bag end up? Is it still a keepsake?
Man, that thing is in storage somewhere.
Oh, I see. You still have
storage somewhere. Man, I had to look through storage to find it. But yeah, it's still out there somewhere.
Okay, that's the name of your first book. When you do put down your memoirs, Grandma's Backpack.
Grandma's Backpack.
Oh yeah, that's a good title for a book, man.
But and I actually have a blog out there called the Old Adventures of Young Rickey G. It's out there.
How do we find it?
Well, you can find it at youngrickeyg.blogspot.com. So
I still got a blog spot.
Yeah, but like I said, it was something that I decided to do because here's the thing. I've always been a writer per se.
Yeah.
So I've always been someone that believed in writing. And I've kept journals of my life for years at a time. I'm talking about book journals, like the hard copy. Yeah. It got to the point to where I had to transfer this stuff over to, the internet so somebody else could see it because I got tired of, having all this stuff written here and not being shared.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give people a taste of what my life was like. So yeah, all that information's out there if you want to see it. I mean, a lot of funny stories about people and experiences, that I've gone through,
Well, we talked about that at the beginning of this.
So a lot of that's
once
out there.
Once you get these experiences, your job now is to teach other people.
Yeah.
So they learn from your good times and bad times.
Yeah. So a lot of the stories from my life are out there, be it good or bad, And I talk about my stepdad. I talk about my grandfather, my mother's father, should I say, and my uncle. Both of them are in there. So yeah, even the story about the backpack. is out there. I forgot what I titled it, but it's out there.
It's out there.
It's out
Oh,
there.
so you already have wrote it,
Yeah,
at
I've
least
already
in
written
short story form.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I credit to my education to is like the people that taught me how to write short stories. There's a woman in particular that I'm still in contact with today by the name of Mrs. Paula McKee. She is the one that got me inspired to be a short story writer. So yeah. So that's pretty much my life in a nutshell. Now, granted, as for life moving forward, like I said, I'm all about being involved in the community. And someday I'd love to run for a position of authority, but I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Gee, man, I seriously think you need to start somewhere. You know, 'cause you were talking about politicians that some. Well, I imagine that most of them. I would hope that most of them are going in with a good moral code as a community organizer, somebody who's trying to help their little portion of the world. And then as they get, better and better at that and have a bigger following, they start to branch out. Okay, now I'll be the mayor. Now I'll be the governor. Now I'll be as they push forward.
And those are things that I would think that I would want to do for myself too eventually. But I'm in the crawling stage. So in order to help people, you got to help other people help people.
Right.
If that makes sense. So I've been involved in a lot of campaigns over the years behind the scenes. And just so I know how to raise funds. I know how to get out there in the studios with the public. Shake hands, kiss babies, and all that good stuff.
Not shaking babies and kissing hands, right? That's the other way. That's probably the wrong way to do it.
So I've been involved in people's. And I've actually. One particular, there was this guy that was running for sheriff years ago. He's the first African American to run for sheriff here in this area. He actually gave me total control over helping him do his campaign. Well, not campaign, but like the float, for the parade.
Okay, so not campaign manager.
No,
but
I wasn't. No,
getting that float.
Yeah, I helped him come up with the idea of what to do for his float.
How cool is that?
And I mean, I just thought of something that would be quite cool. So here's what I did. I came up with the idea of him having. I came up with the idea of him having a float with a live band on it.
Uh-huh.
And there's actually footage in it somewhere too. So, but yeah. But anyway, I told him that about a musician that I knew of by the name of King Kemp, and this guy to me, he's a phenomenal. Him and his crew, they're actually phenomenal in the blues world.
I think I put a like on his page.
That dude is. I mean, if you ever hear him live, though, man, I mean, you would not.
I haven't had the pleasure yet.
Trust me, whenever you do hear him, you remember that I told you about him, and that you would not be disappointed by him. I mean, this dude. I swear, I mean, he has the makings of what B.B. King was, I really think he's that good. But anyway, I told him that he should collaborate with him for his float. I mean, because I figured, what I told him was like, if you collaborate with him, and tell him that, I mean, tell him what you got to work with in your budget, I'm pretty sure he'll do it. And they did. They made it happen. So, on the day of the parade or whatever, they're coming. I mean, so I told him, first of all, I also told him that first of all, nobody knows who you are. So you need to make a lot of noise coming down the street to let people know who you are. Yeah. So I said, a live band will do that for you. And then I told him about who to use and stuff. And anyway, back to what I was saying. On the day of the parade, he comes down, Oak Street. And they're just jamming and doing whatever. He's walking by, shaking hands and, waving at people and stuff. And then he sees me videotaping. And then all of a sudden he comes up to me and he gives me this freaking football tackle. So, Rickey G, it's working. I say, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's people helping people, man. When you find something that you believe in, you get behind it.
But see, that for me was my baby. It was my baby. It was an idea in my head come to life,
Is this the first time you got involved with anybody politically?
No. This was the biggest time. This was something that I've actually done. Yeah, this was back in 2016. Oh. Now, granted, that was something that I got involved in, and that I can say I actually did myself. As for helping somebody to come up with the idea to do. Now, everybody else, I pretty much ran with their ideas.
So, what was the first time that you got involved with anything political? If that's where you're wanting to head this now.
Well, like I said, I've been involved in several different campaigns. As for the very first time I actually did that, oh my goodness. I mean, I will say this, back when Obama became president is when I first decided, well, actually, no, I take it back. Because truth be told, in junior high, I ran for class president.
Go.
Yeah, so that was my first taste of politics and stuff, and this was back in 1992. Keep in mind, a very, very, very big year, but it is also a year that I lost to a girl, Amber Rand.
What was your platform as opposed to her platform? What made her win?
Well, I don't know. I guess she had more followers. I guess I guess they had more friends.
It is a popularity contest.
It had to have been.
Even the presidency, man. It's
it
a popularity contest.
It had to have been. But my thing is that I you asked me a question about something I can't even remember. That's over 25 years ago. I can't remember that. I mean, had it been anywhere sooner than that, had I wrote that down somewhere, I probably could have told you that. But I mean,
the platforms back in high school were, pizza at lunch and free period every, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know what the platform was.
Yeah.
All thing I know is I thought that I was popular enough to run.
Right.
And yeah.
Well, that's good, man. You did it. You had your first outing for anything political. And that set the stage.
Yeah, but see,
for what's happening now, 25 years later.
But myself back then, like I said, that was 2008 or so after Obama was elected. It was when all that became to me. Politics is something that's always been in me. I think from the age, like I said, 15 or so. But it got awakened again back in 2008 after Obama ran.
Man, how does that make you feel?
Made me feel important. I mean, it made me feel like it made me feel that whatever my parents were telling me was the truth.
That was a turning point for African Americans.
Yeah, I mean, because we've always told our kids that you can be anything you want to be. Heck, you can be the president of the United States. I mean, at the time, nobody had, before then had been, African American descent had been a president. Yeah. So I thought they were lying to me at first. After seeing it come true, that was a big thing for me. And so it was him.
Tupac said he'd never see a black president. He didn't.
He didn't. But but that's not to say that it wouldn't come true, and it did. And like I said, I was very excited, and it was because of that I got very involved in my community through the Father Kendall branch of the NAACP. I've been a member now since 2008.
Get it.
So So
what kind of activities do you get involved with?
Well, here's the thing: we do a lot of things in regards. Well, I don't know about things going forward with this whole COVID-19 thing, but prior to that, I mean, we do a lot of things. We do things involving the Juneteenth celebration. We do that, and then we'd have
what's that?
Juneteenth is the celebrations of the African Americans finally knowing that they're free from the Civil War. After this, that was when we finally knew that the war was over. And so it was a big celebration, celebrating that.
And that was in 1865?
1865, yes, sir. Now, granted, truth be told, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863, but like I said, keep in mind the war was still going on.
Oh yeah,
and it was only so many African Americans that were free. And it was very stipulated. If you were only free against people that were fighting against the Union. Of course, and that whole thing is still kind of jaded too, because there were people that had slaves that still fought with the Union. So were they free? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. all I know is what the Emancipation Proclamation said. In regards to that. So.
And history is being whitewashed and changed, for lack of a better word. I mean, the history that I learned in school is not the history that my 14-year-old daughter is learning. It's getting changed, and not for the better. I don't think. Mm-mm. It's getting. It wasn't as bad as we said it was. I'm sure it was terrible.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, though. See, that's why you got to go back to oral. I mean, there's only so much history you're gonna get in books, but I mean, that's why it's important to talk to your relatives, like the older statesmen of your family. You got to sit back and talk to them, get their oral history about what they experienced in that time. Because I guarantee I can tell you a lot of stories about what my grandparents, parents, and all of them told me about what they experienced during segregation.
It's only 3 people ago that was that was the war. That was 1865. That was slavery. Mm-hmm. It's only 3 people.
Yeah, but not that far long ago for segregation, though.
Yes.
this story.
So there's still people living.
Yeah,
that you talk to.
Yeah, there's people that are in their 80s and 90s that can still remember a world back then where they had limited mobility.
It's giving you a good view. Or a different view, a different perspective than what I have, for sure.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm glad to be talking to you about
I'm going to tell you
this.
what, when you're a group of oppressed people, or the minority, even though we are the majority in this country, in regards to us next to Hispanic Americans.
I'm half Cuban. I get it.
But the point is like, I don't see how we can be called minority of anything where there's more of us here than you. So I'm like, how is that even possible?
It's all going to end up being gray. There's no black or white, man. We're all integrating, and that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Man.
So, I mean, America, what I like about it is a country that is a complete melting pot. I mean, because you have some of everybody here.
Some
from
places
everywhere.
in America more than others. In Miami, it was everybody. Everybody was together.
Oh, yeah, but that's just, yeah.
And I'm sure you moving from a small town to a bigger town, Conway, Arkansas, was a whole lot different.
So, I mean, well, for me, it wasn't that much. It was different, but not in the role of an adult. It was different as in the role of a child. The only thing that was different for me is that I wasn't living where where I used to live. Now, granted, growing up here, I still had my family. I was still around my family. But it was a different set of my family. It was my mother's family instead of my dad's side of the family. Now, keep in mind, I still, seeing how it is, I didn't grow up with my dad's side of the family. I'm still learning them. And that's why I tell people it's important that if you have kids, to make sure that they have access to both sides of their family. Because if not, they'll find themselves doing what I'm doing as an adult, chasing ghosts. And it's trying to find out who people were in the past.
You still have that oral history, man. I mean, how many people are in your family are still giving you those stories?
Well, I mean, it depends on who I ask. Yeah.
Tell me more about the NAACP and what's going on with them here in the world. I mean, I know with the COVID-19, everybody's been put on hold.
Yeah, everybody's been put on hold.
But
it's not a lot of stuff. But I can tell you what we're doing in Fulton County. I mean, as what we were doing prior to COVID. I mean, we were having Juneteenth celebrations. We were having meetings with
Is that in June?
Yes.
I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And why is it 10th? Is it?
Yeah, and June 19th was the actual day.
19th. Okay.
Yeah. So, but moving, like I said, going back to that whole thing. Yeah, we have the Juneteenth celebration, and we have also different meetings that we would have. With people, leaders of the community that would come during our meeting times and would speak to us. As a whole, and talking about what they're trying to do with the community, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I hope it's not just one day out of the year.
No.
You're doing stuff all
we're doing stuff all throughout the year, but it's like at different times of the year that we do.
Are you educating the community in anything?
Very much so, dude. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to tell you what, there's a lot of people that come to me for a lot of things, and more so for knowledge, because I keep myself in the breast of what's going on here, like especially in the city of Conway. I know a lot about city council, and because I read every agenda. I can't remember all of them, but I can tell you a lot about what's going on. And a lot of people. Here's the thing. You're talking about what makes me famous. I don't think that anything really makes me famous, because I don't feel like. Let me speak here. I don't feel like there's anything that really makes me famous other than the fact that I'm doing something that other people aren't doing, because you have the power, just as well as anybody, to be an inspiration to anybody. We all have that power. It's just only the people that stand out as famous, per se. They are only the people that are willing to do what you're not doing. But you have the power to do that. You have the power to be an influence. You have a power to motivate. All of us have this power. It's just only a certain few people. It's only a few people that use it. So. I
mean, the name "What Makes You Famous" is very. And when I was trying to come up with a name for the podcast, I have an online radio station, RadioWhat.com, and what will make you a little more famous than you already were.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily fame, but it is me getting a chance to talk to people and having you tell your story. And man,
which I appreciate, though. I mean, like I said, I'm not any more special than anybody else is. I mean, everybody has the power to do exactly what I'm doing right now. It's only up to them whether or not they choose to use said power. But
to know if you're special or not is the people around you are gonna inform you on that. And I think you're a pretty special person.
Yeah, well, I should.
That you get involved with the NAACP and that you get involved in your community and you try to make the world a better place in your own small way right now. But it's going to get bigger and bigger.
Throughout the course of this interview, I've referred to my mama a lot of times, and it's for a good reason. Like I said, she was the first teacher that I have ever had. She taught me about religion. She taught me about the Bible. She taught me about a lot of things, and taught me about how to be a well-rounded individual and to care about my neighbors. And she also gave me a little bit of advice that I see it as advice now, but I didn't then. She told me, she says, "Rick, She says, if you ever see anything around this house that needs to be done and nobody else is doing it, get off your tail and do it yourself.
That's right. And then stepdad said, get out, get a job, go do something.
So, you know, I mean, so I had both of those sayings in my ear, but I use that now when it comes down to getting things done, because there's a lot of people. Well, there's a lot of things that are not being done in the city that I think need to be done. But so I'm taking it upon myself to do it. Like, keeping in mind where we are. This is Conway. This is the fastest growing city in the Central Arkansas area.
That's why I'm here.
And it's rapidly changing. I mean, if you have any sort of business or whatever, this is the place to be for a business.
Yes.
Now, granted, you asked me if I have any special talents and stuff. One of the things that I do is I pay attention, and I told you that I do a lot of reading to the agendas and stuff like that, and therefore I stay up on what's going on in our community. And all this stuff is public knowledge, but there's only a few people that's going to pay attention. So I always know what's being built before it's being built, you know, and I know what's going to be torn down before it's being torn down. So I run around the town whenever I have the time being the opposite word here. I run around with my camera and I take pictures of things that are being built or things that are being torn down or disappearing. And you can see this on my Facebook page. I'll keep it all logged on different albums and stuff, you know, so people can go back and say, oh, this happened a few years ago. And I've been to a lot of things. I've been to groundbreaking ceremonies. Like, I've been to the groundbreaking ceremony for Baptist Hospital. Let's see.
You remember when about was out?
Oh, yeah. That was
years?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was back in 2014.
Yeah, we're sitting right here next door to Baptist Hospital. Or no, not Baptist Hospital.
No, that's
we're sitting next to Conway Hospital.
No,
that's the one down the way. Okay.
Yeah, that's one closest to the highway. But yeah, I was there. Matter of fact, I watched two separate governors handle that project. I was there on the groundbreaking the day of the groundbreaking ceremony with Governor Beebe. I was there when they opened it with the current governor we have now, Governor Asa Hutchinson.
Okay.
So, like I said, I witnessed two things transpire in that aspect, and like I said, I've been there for the grand opening for the. Well, first of all, I was there for the groundbreaking ceremony for the pedestrian bridge off of David Ward Drive. I was there for the groundbreaking ceremony, and I have footage from that, which you should go and check out on my YouTube channel, Rickey G TV.
Rickey G TV.
Yes.
See, you did put that television into
yes,
knowledge.
I did. Like I said, I still have a passion for it. I didn't say I was pursuing it, though, but yeah, I still have a passion for that. But yeah, actually, I recorded footage from there for the groundbreaking ceremony for that, and I was also there to take pictures of the grand opening of that bridge, and of this water park over here right behind us. I was there for the groundbreaking ceremony of that.
What? We're here in Laurel Park, and we're actually looking at something that you were there.
I was there for the groundbreaking ceremony, and I was also the day they opened.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, all this is laid in.
So sad.
I have
to
pictures
see it
from all
on this beautiful day that it's not being utilized.
Yeah, I have pictures and stuff from when they did all of that. You know, this was up in maybe a couple of years ago. And they named part of it after they named part of it Candyland after a woman that was spearheading the project that ended up dying. She was like I want to say the grant writer of it. I want to say that they actually got this, and there's a lot of things that I've been a part of in the city, and there's more to come.
Yes. I mean, what's on the horizon? I see you looking at your watch, and maybe you're running out of time.
Well, keep in mind, I'm in my work uniform as I'm talking to you, so I'm going to have to be at work here shortly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so...
well, you can mention that if you want to get some extra ducats in your pocket, man. Hopefully we'll get some monetary compensation for you.
Well, I currently work for a hotel by the name of Comfort in West, and you can come and see me there throughout the course of the week. But yeah, I've been there now going on 7 years now. I'm the front desk clerk there.
Staying power, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I enjoy what I do, and I've met a lot of interesting people.
So what's on the horizon for Rickey G? And I want you to brand yourself, man. If it's going to be Rickey G or Rickey G TV, you should brand everything.
Well, I do. Trust me, I do.
Well, what is the brand where they can find you?
Well, you can find me a lot on Facebook. I mean, you can find me Rickey G TV on Facebook. You can find me as my name, Rickey G, on Facebook as well. You know,
G-double-E.
G-double-E, yes, correct.
And there's an E jammed into that Rickey, right?
That's correct. It's R-I-C-K-E-Y G-E-E. Like I said, I wanted to limit it to G. Why? Because and I say this as jokingly, but I tell people all the time, I don't care how drunk you get, you'll never forget the 7th letter of the alphabet.
Very good. Well,
Think about it.
I get it, man. Hey,
You count it out, you'll get it.
We have the same last name in social media. I have Danny G as one of my other pages I mentioned.
Yeah, man, I don't care how drunk you get, never forget the 7th letter of the alphabet.
I mean,
it just doesn't happen.
What's on the immediate horizon, man?
Immediate horizon.
If you do want to run for some kind of office, and I can see nothing but good things if that came about, because you do have a good moral code as far as I can see,
yeah,
a good moral compass, and you're a friendly person.
I am
As soon as I saw you, you were coming right at me. I mean, if it wasn't COVID time, you'd have been shaking my hand, maybe giving a hug.
Well, yeah. and I'm not saying I'm scared of that stuff, because I'm not. Because
I'm apprehensive, but I'm not scared.
I'm going to tell you at the end of the day, because I'm going to tell you what, there was a friend recently, he invited me into his home for a birthday party. And this is somebody I've known since high school, And so him and his wife invited me over to his house for a birthday party, and I got there before he did, and the wife allowed me to come into the house and stuff. And personally, I was gonna sit back and wait, out of respect, but she's like, "Nah, come on in, he on his way here." I was like, "All right," so I sat back and shoot the breeze with her for a little bit, and then he comes in the door and he said, "Hey, Rick," he said, "Hey, Rick, give me a hug." And I thought about it. I said, and then here's the thing that made me do it though. Over the past few years, I have lost several friends due to natural causes and to other instances in life, suicide and untimely deaths, of other sorts. And to this day, I wish that I could hug them just one more time.
Yeah.
But here's a man that was standing in front of me asking me for a hug. And I looked at him and I said, heck yeah. I said, heck yeah, I'm going to give you a hug. So, sometimes I take advantage of the living, though, man. If I hug you a little bit too longer than 3 seconds, just know it's not just because I'm just wanting to hug you. It's I'm hugging somebody that I wish that I could hug that's no longer here.
Let me tell you, I was at an event last night, DJing at a party, and people were asking me, can I give you a hug? Are you afraid? No, give me a hug. Come here. Because, yes, same thing.
Yeah,
hug them while they're living, man.
Yeah, it's just like give people their flowers where they can still smell them.
Right.
And that's the type of person that I am. Like if you're my friend, you are my friend. I'm an old school friend. I'm not the person that's gonna, if it's your birthday, just send you a little generic happy birthday. No, you're gonna be getting a phone call. If I have a phone, if I have your number, I'm gonna be calling, and you may not call me back. I mean right away. But just know that in your voicemail, you're gonna be hearing my voice saying, hey, I care about you. I'm glad you're still here. I love you, so on and so forth. Because that's the type of person that I was built to be.
Excellent, man. Am I using more sanitizer than I usually do? Probably.
Yeah.
Am I washing my hands even more than I used to? And I used to a whole lot. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But, I don't think this thing is going to get us all. And you were in the hospitality business, man. It's got to be different.
Yeah. And speaking of which, just so you know, we are open for business over at Comfort Inn West. So come in and see us and get a room and do what it is you're going to do. Because the industry is kind of hurting at this moment, because people don't know that they can go to a hotel. But I'm telling you now that you can. So come see us.
Dude, when I go to a hotel, the whole thing says sanitize for your protection.
Yes,
people clean the stuff.
Man, even when I'm not at the desk, like every so often, I'm getting after I notice somebody's touched something, I'm always up with the rag and a bottle of sanitizer, cleaning something.
That's good.
Because you just gotta stay aware and protect it.
Ricky G, we're gonna wind this thing down right now.
Okay.
What do you want to run for? If you saw yourself running for office, what would you run for? What's the first thing that you could do?
Well, there's several things you can do. Matter of fact, I'd probably tackle maybe city council first, just to give me a little bit of something, just to get a foot in the door. And then I'd probably progress to mayor. Vice versa. I'd probably go mayor first and do something. I don't know. I don't know what's on the horizon, to be honest, but I can tell you those would probably be the things that I would do. Heck, I'd probably even consider doing justice of the peace. But the point is, I want to be somewhere to where I can touch people and touch and agree with them and really understand their problems and get some things done.
Yeah, even more so than being in a fine group such as the NAACP, which is the funniest name that still gets held. The National Association for Colored People. Come on, man.
You got to realize. I understand where you're going with that, but you got to realize at the time,
Yes.
this is an organization that has been around since 1909.
Yeah.
So at the time, yes, we were colored people then.
Yes, yeah. It just seems so odd.
But here's another thing.
Later.
But I understand what you're saying too. But you also need to know that it wasn't completely organized by just African Americans alone. White people had something to do with it too.
Right.
So if you go back and read your history, and you'll see the names of the people that were involved, and it wasn't all African Americans. So
that's good. Together we can build something, right?
Indeed.
Everyone get along.
Yeah. The name sounds funny, but I mean it is what it is. I mean it's not changing anytime soon. Even though we're living in more progressive times, that name is not going to change. I mean, no matter how you look at it, I mean, it is what it is.
Well, all the social media that you told me, I'm going to put them in the show notes so that way people can find to get the links and whatever. They'll be in the show notes. But I mean, usually I finish these things off, and I have a feeling this is part one of Rickey G's story, because as time progresses, I want to talk to you more and more and find out more about you and your blog. Man, you can definitely make a podcast out of your blog, your writings and stuff. I'll teach you how to do that if you want to.
Yeah, you know what? I appreciate you for doing it, and yes, that would be cool to do. For another time, but yes. I want to thank you for throwing out that olive branch on that, because I'm gonna tell you what, I know a lot about a lot of things, but there's a lot I don't know about too. So, and I'm always the type of person that's willing to learn new things. And if people, and that's one thing I tell people about knowledge. Whenever somebody is wanting to give you free knowledge, listen to them. Well, because here's the thing, even though it may not be something that may be applicable to your life, it may be good information for the people that are in your circle of friends.
That's right.
So think about that. So I always listen to free knowledge.
Oh, anybody with a smartphone in their pocket can start a podcast. And as time progresses, you're going to spend more and more money. I have the little portable thing here, and then if you look at my setup at the house, oh my goodness, it just gets more and more expensive. But
I'm going to tell you, as for myself, this interview here is an exclusive, because I don't give interviews. I'm not really. I'm really. Even though I'm a very friendly very friendly person. Excuse me. I just don't really do a lot of talking.
Yeah, well, you're not about yourself, man. You're about other people. You're about the community. That's what.
Yeah, so I'm more so of a listener than I am somebody just this talkative all the time. That's not what I do. That's why I don't see myself really doing podcasts, because I don't know what to say a lot of the times. But I'm willing to listen to your story.
See, well, that's just it. Whenever I do podcasts, it's much better to bounce ideas off of somebody. And I've been bouncing ideas off of you, Rickey G. Mm-hmm. All right, I usually finish these things off with last words for the people. But do you have another thought?
No, I really don't. All I want to say is thank you for taking the time to, wanting to interview me, because, I mean, like I said, you're the first to want to be able to pick my brain on my life, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity to be able to sit here and in the public setting to be able to sit back and talk to you about my life as it is, and hopefully there's more to come, and hopefully I'll be able to make more of an impact on my community than I could even imagine. I mean, I can only get to where I am if you help me.
That's right, President G. I put that out into the world. I put it in the universe.
I can only get to where I want to be with the people's help.
Forget the president, man. Who wants that job, man? That job.
I settle for the mayor or the governor.
Oh my goodness! Did you see Barack Obama when he first started? He was he looked like in his 30s. Now he looks 80 coming out of. And then Michelle looks wonderful. You got
to realize it's a very stressful job, and people are trying to pull you in several different directions, and that's regardless of whether you're a politician, whether you're a person that's in entertainment, you're going to have that. I mean, you got to realize that your life is no longer yours anymore. It belongs to the public.
Absolutely.
It belongs to the public. And your privacy, you have none. So you might as well get over that. So, I mean, you got to think long and hard if that's if that's the life that you want to live. You got to realize your life is an open book. You got to be able to have thick skin. I mean, there's a lot of things that people will say about you that most likely will not be true, but you got to grin and bear it. And it sucks, but that's just the life of a public figure, and that's something that I've had to learn over time just by looking and seeing what has happened to people that I've either known or wish that I could have known. So I guess that's my final thoughts of the day.
Well, Rickey G, I mean, that is a final thought, but I do end these things with last words for the people, and it could be something that you know, words to live by, or just whatever pops into your head. So let's do the official Rickey G last words for the people.
All right. Well, I wish I'd have had a statement prepared for that, but I don't. But I will say this: be a person that lives solely by the golden rule, as I am doing today. I mean, be somebody that wants to be treated fairly, and be somebody that's willing to treat other people fairly, regardless of what your skin color may be. I mean, that has nothing to do with the type of person they are. You know, just as long as you are willing to be treated fair and to treat others fair, you can't go wrong.
There you have it, party people. Rickey G, man of the community. Yes, you heard it there. I have no doubt that in the next little bit, in the next short amount of time, shorter than you might think, shorter than Rickey G thinks, he's going to be running for office. He's going to be an even more intricate member of society. I know he's already in the NAACP here in Conway, Arkansas, helping people in that respect and making sure that people are aware, people helping people. And Rickey G, I'm so glad to know you. So glad that we finally got to meet, other than social networking and social media. So thank you so much, Rickey G, for being on the program. What Makes You Famous? I look forward to seeing and hearing and possibly participating in some of the things that you do in the upcoming days, weeks, months, and years. All right, party people, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. If you would like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
If you like what you hear, follow What Makes You Famous social media. Use the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Follow on Facebook at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Instagram at What Makes You Famous. Follow on Twitter at Makes Famous. And follow on YouTube at Keys Dan. Leave What Makes You Famous podcast a review and subscribe. Listen to What Makes You Famous podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, and almost anywhere you find podcasts. Tell your story on my podcast, What Makes You Famous. Call 501-470-6386 and leave a message to set up a time. You can support What Makes You Famous using the PayPal link, paypal.me/KeysDan. Email info@radiowhat.com. What Makes You Famous podcast is a production of Keys Dan Enterprises Incorporated at keysdan.com. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Keys Dan. What you doing? My line.
I'm playing the best music by request 24 hours a day. Click on the request tab at the top of radiowhat.com.
RadioWhat.com.
Radio What, the music you want, with some words to live by.
God loves you because of who God is, not because of anything you did or didn't do.
A public service message from radiowhat.com. The music you want.